So a few months ago I decided to rewatch Star Trek The Next Generation. I planned on watching one a week, every week, but that ended up not happening. I had a whole kind of timetable of how long it would take, and I think I got to the number of 3.5 years if I watched one episode a week. So now I'm probably looking at about 5 years if I want to watch every one. One of the reasons I kind of stopped doing it is because I was putting all these hours into it, editing it and all of that kind of stuff, and literally nobody watched them. People watching isn't the main thing, but I mean, I feel like you upload these videos for people to watch them, so you need at least one person watching, and there literally wasn't any. Also, I feel kind of wrong promoting my videos. I just like people to find them naturally, but I guess that doesn't always work. I don't want to force myself on anyone. I don't want to force myself on anyone in any context. So continuing on with this, maybe I'll need to push my stuff a bit more. Anyway, the episode we're watching today is episode 4, Code of Honor. What I remember about this episode is the controversy surrounding it, questionable themes, and I remember there being basically a tribe of aliens. But also I just remember it not being especially great. So it's kind of a shame that I had to come back on this episode. I have honestly thought about skipping episodes, but I don't know how that would work. Maybe I'll put in a poll somewhere to see if it's worth it. But let's just begin and see how we get on. We begun.
Closely humanoid, but their history has remarkable similarities to ours.
A highly structured society.
Closely humanoid.
Exceedingly proud.
I thought they were just basically humans.
A woman? Your chief of security?
They're basically African.
That is her expertise. Sample of the vaccine.
I remember he gets wrecked.
I'm sorry, but I'm required to
Out
inspect.
of my way, woman.
They didn't seem to be too fazed by that.
No apology. In their view, it would weaken us.
Nothing concealed.
So Troy comes in handy sometimes.
Unless you care to examine it further. Absolutely not. Yet, we possess something you do not. A vaccine.
Oh, a vaccine. That's very topical right now.
Would it be possible to see one of your wanderers' holodecks? Would it be possible for Lieutenant Yard to do so, Captain?
You creep.
Some demonstration of defense training?
We've noticed you're intrigued with her having security responsibilities, but these things are not at all unusual with us.
Passive-aggressive Riker.
A force like that cannot possibly come from an image, Lieutenant.
Then you will show me, Hagar.
He's gonna get wrecked again. This guy is just being embarrassed.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
We've had a good beginning, Lieutenant.
May I also extend a personal farewell to Lieutenant Yar? In your Federation terms.
Picard to bridge. Red alert.
Troy, you didn't read that?
May I speak to you about my son Wesley?
What? Oh, yes.
His favourite subject.
Speaking as a mother, of course. He seems quite knowledgeable.
Well, yes. Speaking as a mother.
He's on the turbo lift. You'll remember you ordered him to stay off of the bridge.
Captain. All right, sir. I'll see that he leaves immediately.
No.
No?
Riker was ready just to beat the shit out of him there.
That is from an obscure language known as French. Counting coup.
Mr. Data. The French language for centuries on Earth represented civilization.
I suggest you drop it, Mr. Data.
A sore spot for Picard.
Commander.
Commander? That's quite formal.
So is this request, sir?
Some of the interactions in this first season are just kind of awkward.
I'll put you on report, Kent.
I love those establishing shots.
Have you been...
Oh, look at the background, just a maroon shade. That's the background.
Natasha Yar, I challenge you. A struggle to the death.
No.
A struggle to the death, not a fight to the death.
Challenge is unequivocally refused.
Then you shall have no treaty.
And having him say he wants you.
Yes, of course it made me feel good when he...
The person who just abducted her.
Troy, I'm your friend and you tricked me. Which means they desperately need the vaccine, sir. And I know I can win this challenge.
You have nothing to prove here, Lieutenant.
But the vaccine is important in this case, sir.
I mean, we have a good kind of conflict of interest in this episode, so it's not like it's completely a write-off.
But you are also a man of great importance and wealth.
Buttering him up.
Great importance, perhaps. But he did...
You idiot.
I will order Lieutenant Yar to fight. And may your cloak bring you all you deserve.
He's playing him. Clearly not a very clever man at all.
Perhaps it is you, Geordie. Including the Kittleys, I've told 662 jokes, and you have not...
Including the Kittleys. Now, see, that's funny.
Okay, so we got some development between Geordie and Data. That's always good.
Him, without reservation. And she thinks I love him too.
Jealousy.
Most interesting. Do you?
Of course I don't, Data. As Troy pointed out to me, I'm attracted to him, but that's entirely different.
I think it's weird that she's attracted to this person who abducted her and is holding her prisoner. It's like gymnastic fighting. I wonder if any Star Trek fans have made something like this. If there was such thing as Star Trek sport, this would have to be in there. Someone must have done a Star Trek Olympics, or tried to anyway. You know, with Anbo Jitsu and all of that kind of stuff. Parisi squares. Jesus.
Hold your positions.
He's dead, right? I remember they bring her back to life.
She is not dead. There was no death coming. You violated our
It's quite the way to react to your wife not being dead.
No vaccine.
The challenge was carried out. She died.
So I'm going to be honest, that wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. I don't know whether it has this reputation of being really awful or if I just remember it being worse than it was. Don't get me wrong, it's not great. Definitely nowhere near as good as the later series. I feel like even with the bad episodes and even with the bad series, it's I kind of think that you have to take them all together. I just feel like bad episodes is part of the territory. Not that this episode was even awful. It wasn't particularly strong, I don't think. And the whole thing about having this weird kind of almost romanticized relationship with Liu Kang, even though he basically abducted her and tried to make her fight to the death, that was quite strange. There are kind of awkward moments in season 1 that are kind of stiff, but it definitely improves. The chemistry and the relationships kind of improve. But when you compare stuff to the later series, it's nowhere near as good. But it certainly does get there, and you do see the building blocks of that in this series. But the one thing I could appreciate about this episode was the exploration of diplomacy and having to abide by the Prime Directive, by their own code of honor, when interacting with a lesser advanced society. So I think there's always positives you can find in these episodes. I mean, for the most part, maybe apart from one episode. So now we're reaching the part in the video where I have a look at the IMDB page for this episode, just to check out the rating, if I agree with the rating, maybe look up some facts about the episode. 5.2 out of 10. I don't know if I can really argue with that. I mean, it sounds harsh when you put it like that. So we have a trivia section here, which is always one of my favourite parts about IMDb. Gene Roddenberry fired a director because he objected to the casting of African American actors to be portrayed as a primitive race. Yeah, that's a tricky one. When you put it like that, it doesn't sound very good. Jonathan Frakes Riker sought to prevent the episode from being re-aired. Now that is interesting. So Michael Dorn, Worf, didn't appear in this episode, and he also referred to it as the worst episode of Star Trek ever filmed, which is pretty big thing to say of an actor. Brent Spiner said it was just a racist episode, maybe not intentionally, but it felt that way and looked that way. So it was fortuitous that we did our worst that early on and never quite got it that bad ever again. I think that's better than I could have put it, to be honest. Will Wheaton said the cast was unhappy because they hated the script, and there were claims that the director acted in a racist manner towards the African American actors. The director was fired by Gene Roddenberry before filming was completed. Wow, this really has everything. Jonathan Frakes referred to the episode as a racist piece of shit. Wow. I think it goes to show you that you can look back on a piece from the past and realise that it was problematic, and as times changed it was no longer acceptable, while at the same time recognising that. I like that the actors have spoken out on it and said that they didn't like the episode, and as Brent Spiner said, they never really got it this wrong again. So it's kind of a shame, but we can be thankful that Next Generation went on to be not only much better than this from a philosophical point of view, but also from a quality point of view. So it's going to be nice to look forward to the next episode without knowing that basically a dud is coming up. I'm not sure when it will be, but I will certainly try to be more regular with this series. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get all the way through it, but I'm going to end this video here, otherwise I'll just go on forever, and I'll get editing this so I can maybe start the next episode.